Why is it that when someone hurts us deeply, our first instinct is to keep trying to fix things? And why does everyone say, just go no contact, like it's some magic solution, when most people who try it end up breaking it within days? Here's what I'm going to tell you in this video. No contact isn't just about blocking someone. There are 3 critical mistakes that make no contact completely worthless, and I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid them. But first, let me tell you about the biggest lie you've been told about no contact. Most people think no contact is about punishing the other person or making them miss you. That's not just wrong, it's actually dangerous thinking that will sabotage your entire healing process. But there's something even more important you need to understand first. When someone repeatedly violates your boundaries, manipulates your emotions, or treats you with disrespect, what happens when you keep engaging? You're essentially training them that your boundaries are negotiable. But here's the part that will shock you. You're also training yourself to accept less than you deserve. This is why most people fail at no contact. They think it's about the other person, but it's actually about breaking a pattern inside yourself. And that pattern is way deeper than you think. But before I explain that pattern, let me tell you about the 3 phases of no contact that determine whether you'll succeed or fail. Phase 1 is what I call the withdrawal phase. This is where most people break. They start no contact, but they don't understand that their brain is literally going through withdrawal symptoms. You've been addicted to the highs and lows of this toxic relationship, and now you're cutting off the supply. But here's what nobody tells you about the withdrawal phase. If you don't handle it correctly, you'll create an even more toxic cycle. I'll explain exactly how to get through this phase. But first, you need to understand phase 2. Phase 2 is the ghost phase. This is where you think you're healing, but you're actually just numbing the pain. You're going through the motions of no contact, but you're not addressing the root cause of why you accepted toxic treatment in the first place. And if you don't fix this, you'll just attract the same type of person again. The ghost phase is dangerous because it feels like progress, but it's actually just avoidance. Real healing happens in phase 3, and that's where most people never get to. But I'm going to show you exactly how to reach phase 3 and why it's the only phase that actually changes your life. But first, let me address the elephant in the room. You're probably wondering, what about the people who say, no contact doesn't work? What about the people who tried it and ended up going back to their toxic situation? Here's the truth. They made the first critical mistake. They went into no contact with the wrong intention. They were secretly hoping the other person would chase them, beg for them back, or realize what they lost. This turns no contact into manipulation, and manipulation always backfires. The second critical mistake is even more common. They left loopholes. They blocked the person on Instagram, but not on WhatsApp. They deleted their number, but kept checking their social media. They told themselves, just one look won't hurt. But every loophole is a crack in your foundation, and eventually the whole thing crumbles. But the third mistake is the most devastating, and it's the one that keeps people stuck in toxic cycles for years. They use no contact as a band-aid instead of addressing the wound underneath. They focus on removing the toxic person without asking the harder question, why did I accept this treatment in the first place? This is where the real work begins, and it's work that most people aren't willing to do, because it means looking at yourself honestly. It means admitting that somewhere along the way, you learned to accept less than you deserved. And that pattern didn't start with this relationship. But here's what happens when you do the deep work. No contact becomes effortless. You're not fighting the urge to contact them because you genuinely don't want to. You're not avoiding their social media because you're trying to be strong. You're simply not interested in consuming content from someone who brought chaos into your life. This is phase 3 of no contact. This is where you realize that no contact isn't about them at all. It's about you choosing yourself consistently, probably for the first time in your life. But getting to phase 3 requires a specific strategy that most people never learn. First, you have to understand what I call the addiction cycle. Every time this person hurt you and then showed you affection, your brain released dopamine. You became addicted to the relief of their validation after the pain of their rejection. No contact breaks this cycle, but your brain doesn't know that yet. This is why the first 2 weeks are crucial. Your brain is going to trick you into thinking you made a mistake. It's going to tell you that you're being too harsh, that you should give them another chance, that maybe they've changed. But here's what your brain is really doing. It's trying to get its next hit of dopamine. The second strategy is what I call the replacement principle. You can't just remove someone from your life and leave a void. You have to fill that space with something better. But most people fill it with distractions instead of genuine nourishment. Distractions are things like binge watching Netflix, scrolling social media, or jumping into another relationship immediately. These might feel good temporarily, but they don't heal the wound. Nourishment is different. Nourishment is therapy, reconnecting with friends you neglected, rediscovering hobbies that brought you joy, investing in your physical health. But here's the most important part. You have to grieve. Going no contact doesn't erase the love you felt or the hope you carried. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel guilty. And if you don't allow yourself to feel these emotions fully, they'll drive you back to the toxic situation. The third strategy is what I call boundary reinforcement. Every day you maintain no contact, you're teaching yourself that your boundaries matter. You're proving to yourself that you can keep promises to yourself. This builds self-trust, which is probably something this toxic relationship destroyed. But boundary reinforcement only works if you're consistent. One moment of weakness can undo weeks of progress. This is why you need to prepare for the moments when you'll want to break your no contact, because those moments will come. Maybe you'll see something that reminds you of them. Maybe you'll hear their favorite song. Maybe you'll have a bad day and want the familiar comfort of their attention, even if it comes with chaos. These moments are tests, and how you handle them determines whether you heal or stay stuck. The final piece of the puzzle is understanding that no contact is not about punishment. It's not about making them suffer or teaching them a lesson. It's about creating space for your nervous system to heal from the constant state of hypervigilance that toxic relationships create. When you're constantly walking on eggshells, analyzing every word, trying to predict their moods, your nervous system stays in fight or flight mode. This damages your ability to trust your own judgment and recognize red flags in future relationships. No contact gives your nervous system permission to relax. It gives your mind the quiet it needs to remember who you are when you're not constantly defending, explaining, or trying to manage someone else's emotions. This is where the real transformation happens. As weeks and months pass, you'll start to notice something incredible. The constant anxiety starts to fade. You stop checking your phone every few minutes. You stop analyzing every interaction with other people through the lens of that toxic relationship. You start to remember what it feels like to have genuine peace. You start to trust your own judgment again. You start to believe that you deserve relationships that don't require you to sacrifice your well-being. Most importantly, you realize that no contact taught you the most valuable lesson of all. You are not responsible for other people's emotions, reactions, or growth. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep anyone else warm. Going no contact isn't the easy choice. It's often the hardest thing you'll be